Hi everyone, it's Miss Smith and I'm here today on video because I couldn't be there in person to do a little summer STEM planning with you. So I have a disclaimer before I start. I am outside of one of my favorite places, Starbucks, doing this recording, so please disregard any honks of horns and may get a couple happy loud people coming in and out Starbucks, but that's okay. This won't take long. So this is our 5th grade summer STEM planning. So this year I decided to jump right in so we know what our first PBL will focus on, and I decided to do it on a very simple ideation template, which is just a template of our overarching ideas for the PBL. I have already done you all, so today we'll just look at it really quickly and you all have the opportunity to make any changes that we may want to make to it. So here you have the science standards it will focus on, the social action piece and products, field trips, potential field trips in-house and away from the school, and potential experts that could come out, and also the math standards. So our driving question this year again is, how can we create a response/survival product to help in the event of a natural disaster in our community? One thing we're going to do different this year is we're not going to have each class start off focusing on one particular natural disaster, because then the whole standard isn't addressed and all students don't get to learn about the different natural disasters that are caused because of constructive and destructive forces, which is our main focus as far as mastering the science standard. So you'll notice we will obtain, evaluate, and communicate information to identify surface features on the earth caused by constructive and destructive processes. So we're going to start off with our PBL Mondays, really focusing on the students becoming experts of these different processes, and then moving to each class picking one particular natural disaster, or some classes may want to do more than one, so that they can come up with these products that help the community. So we're going to make sure the students are constructing arguments to support scientific evidence, supported by scientific evidence, that surface features caused by destructive and constructive force processes, like deposition, weathering, erosion, and the impact of organisms. So we want the students to understand that. Element B, we want them to be able to make interactive models to collect data that illustrate how changes to services were caused or are caused by constructive and destructive forces. And we also want to talk about how technology is used to limit and predict the impact of constructive and destructive processes, which we definitely have Ms. Thomas' support as well with the understanding and mastering that standard. Once the students understand these elements, then at that time in your classroom, you can choose to focus on one natural disaster that we could see occur in our community, or you may choose more than one. Maybe different groups in your classroom choose a different natural disaster. If Ms. McCoy is in the room, I wanted to say that we weren't going to heavily focus on the volcano, because as far as how it can help our community, because we know that there wouldn't necessarily be a volcano in our community, but we do know that it can help with the understanding of the standard of constructive and destructive processes. So we can still use activities like that for understanding, but when we get down to picking our focus for our social action piece, the way that we support the community, you'll see under social action that I have flood, hurricane, tornado, earthquake, erosion, weathering, deposition. I picked things that we know that we could see in our community. So we know our final products will be prototypes, devices, PSAs, electronic news letters, etc. These products will again be shared with the community via technology, STEM night, at PTAs, and any other time we can have the community or parents in the building. As far as the field trips and experts, I have Red Cross of America. I'm going to work on them coming again. Also, I really want to get some meteorologists in the building, or go to a news station where we can meet meteorologists and see how all that works. Also, I want us to look for our family members, friends, or people in the community that are survivors of natural disasters. We want to allow the students to interview them. That helps them to become more experts and find out how they could have helped. And now that they can help, they can make it happen based off of people who really were in those situations. Also, Children's Museum and the Fulton County Schools Teaching Museum may have opportunities for them to learn about this standard as well. You will also notice I have the math standards listed, solving word problems with addition and subtraction of fractions, multiplying and dividing decimals, GMDAS, the orders of operations, fluently multiplying multi-digit whole numbers, and also I have a note down there that math standards can be used to support science element B. So that science element B that talks about collecting data, we can also use, there are some other math standards that can be used there as well. On the second page of the ideation template where we put our ideas, we want to just continue to list all different materials that may be needed throughout the PBL so we can work on making sure that we have those. Now back to the actual presentation. We've looked at the template. I wanted to make you all aware of our very, very close focus and understanding that we are going to follow the scoping sequence for science this school year. We're going to try to make sure we stay on track. So with that being said, when we look at 5th grade science scoping sequence, I do understand that we have electricity and magnetism first, cells, helpful, harmful, and then constructive and destructive processes. So what will happen is, beginning the first 9 weeks all the way to the end of the second 9 weeks, you will work on that PBL1, which addresses the standards of constructive and destructive processes. That's okay. In your science blocks throughout the rest of the week, after PBL Monday, you can work on the standards actually on the scope and sequence: electricity, magnetism, cells, helpful, harmful. What will happen when you get to this area is you'll have more time to continue to work on those first 3 units because you'll have been working on constructive and destructive processes throughout the first and second 9 weeks. What I want to point out to you, so you know going into PBL2, is PBL2 will have to focus on one of these 3 units: matter, classification of plants and animals, and inherited behaviors. We definitely probably will not be doing a PBL on electricity because, again, we are following the scope and sequence very, very closely to make sure that we're on track as far as testing as well. You all have the Zoo Atlanta this year. The zoo started with the students as 3rd graders. They followed in the 4th, and now they're in 5th. I have been in contact with the zoo, and I do have an understanding that the zoo is going to focus on classification of plants and animal unit and inherited behavior. So we want to eventually start thinking about what our PBL2 could be as it correlates possibly to those 2 units. But no worries yet. We'll get to that later. All right. Also on our presentation, I have included the 5th grade math scope and sequence. So here I have it pulled up for you. When you look at the ideation template, the math standards that I have listed all come from the first 4 units. So I tried to make sure that we also follow the scope and sequence for math, and we use standards that are in the first 4 units. So if you all want to add any additional standards, we definitely can do that. All right, so what's next from here? Hopefully you have a little bit more time left in today's summer planning. Here's what you need to do. Go to your email. You'll find an email that was sent by Mrs. McNair. It includes a link to this presentation where you're able to click those links, as well as the STEM PBL1 Ideation Live template. So you will have access to this. That's this template here. What I need you to do as a grade level is please add materials that you need or may need during the journey through PBL 1. That's on slide 2. I also need you as a grade level to make any updates or changes to slide 1 if you choose to. So if you all want to add some additional field trips in-house or away from the school, potential experts, if people already know phone numbers of people we can contact for interviews, go ahead and list those and I will get on that to support everyone. Also, if there's any math standards that you want to add or take away, you can also do that to the document. If you can think of any other products or that we want to push out to the community, please do that as well. All right. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please take this time to send me, Miss Smith, an email so that I can start to get those things addressed. And last but not least, what means the most to me is thank you. I look forward to seeing you all when we come back for our pre-planning. Please, no matter what you do, enjoy the rest of your summer. See you later.